Footy Interchange Exchange. This is where we answer your questions that you send through to the podcast. The People's Podcast, as I like to describe it. We might have had a bit of a false start last week, but we've definitely got your questions. This week we are ready and rearing to go, Scully, as we kick it off with the Patreon question.
Yeah, I know sometimes in radio land you sort of beat around the bush. In podcast land, perhaps we tell them exactly what happened. So Jaden took over things.
I wasn't going to name names.
No, I'm naming. Larea, who has been doing an epic job this year with us, was unfortunately sick in a way. Jaden took the reins for about 5 seconds. He was that locked out of the game. He forgot to put it up, and then he put the wrong video up. So we apologise.
I went to check the questions, and all it said was, it was quite funny, or everyone commenting just going, lock in, boys. Lock it in. Lock in.
We need a locksmith sponsor. So if there is...
Just lock in.
But if you're a locksmith and you're listening along, this whole show is up for grabs.
Ready to go.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll be up, sometimes it won't. No, it'll be up forever now.
Apologies for that. Jaden has been severely punished behind closed doors.
Jaden doesn't work anymore. No, he's out the back in the cage. We've got out the front room. Now we will get one of the questions from last week though out of Patreon. So thanks for our patrons for sending through questions. Make sure you keep sending them through because we'll get to them off the top of the show. Paps, you seem to always call the game solo instead of in tandem with someone else. Like what happens over East. Is this your preferred way of operating, or is it because there's no one else here that can do it with him? Is it harder to call a game solo? Does he get paid twice as much for doing the job of two people?
That'd be nice, Scully. Can confirm, definitely don't get paid twice as much.
Do you get paid half?
Yeah, probably. I think a bit of it comes down to geography, probably. But there's quite a few games that I presume they're talking about Fox here for the most part, where there are most games on a Saturday. I think are generally one caller for most games on Fox
across the network.
Right across. Look, to be honest, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference being by yourself in the commentary box. I feel like sometimes you can control the narrative and tell stories a little bit better rather than chopping and changing all the time. But it's also good to get a chop out too when you've got someone else there. So there are some games coming up. I've seen the roster where there'll be someone else working with me as well, which would be good fun and enjoy working with all those people too.
Just to give this some insight as well, like you were pretty crook last week. You had to pull out of Friday, call 6PR. You called Fox Footy.
Yep.
And so I'm down the boundary and I'm listening to your call. I was like, geez, you sound pretty good. And then we finished the game. I called you after the game and said, basically, you're turning your microphone off, coughing your guts up, and then back on to normality. Is that difficult?
A little bit, yeah.
Because people wouldn't know that as hear your voice.
Yeah. So I managed to get through. Thanks to Skeet for filling in for me on radio on Friday because I wouldn't have got through the rest of the weekend otherwise. But everyone gets sick, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to sound sick on the radio either. So there's a little... I know what I need to do to make myself sound like I'm still okay. Nasal sprays and way too many butter menthols and strepsils and all.
But this is like the jab to play for players. You just the butter menthols.
A little bit like that. I've got this
humidifier.
I've got a humidifier like eucalyptus steamer thing. We get a sponsorship there as well.
Correct, shout out.
But it looks like the weirdest device. Like you've got like a Darth Vader mask on, and I'm like walking around the commentary box like inhaling this thing, and everyone just give me weird looks. But you just do what you do to get through.
Yeah, that's what my attitude a little bit is with sickness, and it's not a good one. Like I push through a lot, and like I called a game on radio. I shouldn't have probably. My voice was basically gone, but it's based from footy. So like my footy career. Like you get sick as a footy player too.
Yeah.
And I think we see it more than we used to. But when I was playing, it was just like you're not missing because you got the flu or you had a cold. And it was the same thing. You'd wake up in the morning, you're like, geez, I'm crook here. And I'd be eating lollies. I'd be just no water. I'd just be sculling like Coke and Gatorade and getting that much caffeine and sugar in your system that you can basically get yourself to a performance level that you trick your body into thinking you're okay. But then what happens, like post game, you're like a corpse. Like you get yourself in a really bad way because you're physically playing crook. And players would definitely be doing it now. Where I think sort of regular punter in an office job would just be, I'm not coming in today.
Yeah.
Especially for players on the edge, you don't really get to do that. Like you're either injured with an ankle or a hammy, and it's very obvious. And calling up and saying, "Geez, I've got a cold today." Like for me, I'm not having that conversation with Woosha. Like it's just not happening.
Yeah.
You're either in the side or you're not. There's no sick days.
Yeah. It's hard to get a replacement too.
Yeah, correct. It's
in
just
some instances.
Yeah, well, correct. But yeah, it sort of hasn't probably held me too well into corporate business life because I'm just like, oh, I'm in there, who cares?
Keep going, and then everyone else gets sick. So it's sort of that balance of doing that. So I apologise to Pav. I hope that he's okay because he was standing next to me on the weekend. But I was on the other side of it. Pav's probably out this week, so apologies. But you do what you do to get through. Let's roll through some of the other comments and questions as well. Jake the Mac says to Sco in particular, who are the mids that West Coast should target to support Harley Reid? I think they should have a crack at getting Will Brodie. He surely wouldn't cost much as he's not getting a look in at Freo. Warple at the Hawks might be another one. Which players could they bring in to support Harley Reid in the midfield?
I saw a couple of these floating around this week. Like Patrick Cripps feels like someone they could maybe get. He's from Western Australia. He's playing in a side that just haven't got a lot of things right. I don't know what his contract situation is at the moment. You'd probably end up paying overs for a Patrick Cripps, though, given how good he is. You're not just getting someone off the scrap heap, two-time Brownlow medalist.
Surely they've got room in the salary cap.
Well, yeah, unless the Harley deal goes through $20 million a year. I mean, but that's someone you got to look at, and it's probably why they're in the market in the next 24 months for a Chad Warner as well. The West Australian element does come about. But you really do start looking at Will Brodie's, like those types of players. Now, who's the Sydney mid? Who's a young Sheldrick?
Angus Sheldrick, yep.
Yeah, you got to find the balance between getting someone who's been on a list for a number of years, like Angus has. Like he's not old; he's 21, 22 maybe.
Dev Robertson at Brisbane.
Yeah, Dev Robertson, similar age, and do you get a 27-year-old who's been around a bit more? I mean, that's probably a Will Brodie, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I think all of those players, the West Australian element does come into it. You can't avoid it because to go and get someone that doesn't have any links to it, like a James Warple, who's a Geelong boy, maybe West Coast should put a call into me to make a call to James, given the Geelong connection. I don't know.
Go the reverse Hawthorn link. There is a question.
Oh, the reverse Hawthorn. So, yeah, okay. So go and raid Hawthorn because Mitch is over here taking Oscar Allen away.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because Das Hoover says on...
I reckon that sounds a bit like
it does.
Das Hoover.
There was one that Mark Foreman read out on radio on, was it Friday night?
Yeah.
It was quite rude. I'm not sure if he actually realised that it was a fake name.
I think he did.
And he still got around it.
Well, you can say it now. We're on podcast. What was it?
It came in from Oxlong.
Yeah. Mike
Oxlong. You can put that together. Das says... is bringing Sam Mitchell into the inner sanctum the worst decision West Coast has made as a club?
No, we won a premiership because of it. That's a simple answer for you. Without Sam Mitchell, we don't win the 2018 flag. So, quite frankly, he can do as he pleases. From my point of view, I don't think that connection. Look, okay, there's a bit of connection, sure. Tom Barras being someone who has signed and. He knows some players, but he knows players from other clubs too. That's what happens with coaches. That they coach players, and then players go to other places. Other coaches go to other places. You got connections everywhere in footy.
Well, Andrew McCoulter's come to West Coast, and two Richmond players come across.
Exactly right. And yeah, look, if Sam Mitchell ends up poaching a couple of West Coast players, well, he probably deserves it. I'm not joking about that either. Like he literally, he's a big reason why we won the flag. What he was able to do with that midfield group for that couple of seasons he was coach and the playing time he had, like he gave plenty of his coaching and playing career to us. So, yeah, good luck to him.
Maddie says, would it be acceptable by all to give West Coast a handicap heading into the Derby? A 10-goal head start, is that fair, just to make it watchable?
I'm serious about West Coast being able to be competitive in this game. I know everyone's the doom and gloom and end of the world, and can't beat Richmond, and how are we going to beat Freo? How it happens is the emotional the emotional toll it has on the Freo Footy Club from beating Collingwood, one of the best wins they've ever had in their career. It's difficult to back that up, regardless if it's against West Coast or not. I expect the first half to be highly competitive, and if they can get it properly right, which is what they did last year, they could be well up at half time. And then the pressure's on for Freo, and then you don't know what happens. You got to start well, though. Have to start well in this game.
I think it's just a little bit of banter from Matty there in Derby week as well.
Oh, no, there won't be a 10-goal head.
Ian says, how long till Greg Swan becomes another in AFL house that just toes the line?
24 hours. 24 hours. He's already told it.
And on umpiring, should the rule book be rewritten by a bunch of lawyers? Use the same ones that go to the tribunal. What could possibly go wrong, says Ian.
That's good, Ian. I like the banter. Yeah, I think there's a fair bit of work to do there from a rule point of view. Like, you can just list the rules that can go in the bin. Not last touch, insufficient intent, protected area, stand rule, 2 rucks, confusion, advantage rule, time it takes for decisions to be made because the Crypto.com agreement they've got. Like I think holistically, Greg will come in and sweep a bit of rules out of the way, and he'll do that in November, I believe. I'm not going to wait till January so clubs can actually train it.
Yeah, good.
And I'm only joking about being the mouthpiece to a point, but again, he now works for the AFL. He's not in clubland. I did see his comments around the extra draft pick. What was that called? Priority pick.
Yep.
I used to be at Brisbane and we just found a way. And did you see those comments? I found that interesting.
We've got an academy.
Yeah, I found that interesting. They're academy, and they also, as while he was CEO, received a priority pick. So I don't know if you got any questions around priority picks in here.
Don't actually.
Can I speak about it?
Yeah, please.
Would that be all right?
Yep.
The arguments against West Coast getting a priority pick, I find hilarious. It's like, oh, they're a rich club and they made the decisions to get themselves in this position. Why should the AFL be helping? That is what a priority pick is. It is literally the definition of a club making poor decisions that get themselves into a bad spot and they need assistance from the AFL. That is the definition of it. So you can't argue against it by saying, well, West Coast have put themselves in this position. Every club has put themselves in every position. Like, that is on the club. It's no one else's fault. So do I think they should get a priority pick? I'm not that strong either way. I'm just strong on the arguments against it, saying, oh, you can't ask because you're a rich club. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Can I argue against you?
Yes, please.
Not because they're a rich club, but because they won a premiership in 2018. I think if you've won a premiership, there should be a rule that
10?
you cannot get a priority pick within 10 years minimum.
Right. Well, what about the other way? If you haven't won one in like 60 years,
then you just keep getting more till you win a flag.
I wouldn't be against that.
How do the other teams feel? Like, you've won a flag and then you bottom out completely to rebuild, and then you've got clubs that haven't won a premiership in 50, 60 years or whatever. Like, I just think if you win the ultimate, if you win a premiership, there should be a certain amount of time that has to pass before you can even start having that conversation.
That is a better argument than West Coast are rich. I'll take that.
Thank you. I'll ask my own questions in this segment as well. Moving on, Mark Edwards says, how much, this is the pastor, of course, who's a very vocal Fremantle fan, says, how much of a kick in the guts was it to hear Greg Swan bring out the VFL line about the umps in the Freo game? But also, how on earth did Darcy Moore get away with the knees in the back with Josh Tracy? And why was Maynard not cited for pushing Murphy Reid into the bench?
Yeah, I mean, they're both terrible actions, and I've been suspend the action, not the outcome, for the entire year, probably before that. And I think somewhat the AFL's moved towards that a little bit, but those are both really poor actions that I think quite easily could have got 1 week minimum. Maynard hasn't even been looked at,
no.
I assume. Moore was it was looked at, it was investigated and found the 50-metre penalty was just... I tend to think if it was the other way around and it was Patrick Voss putting the knees into Darcy Moore and it was Josh Tracy pushing Nick Dacos into the bench, we'd be seeing a very different outcome, which is really poor. And I think I'm right on that fact, and anyone in the AFL house would say that I'm making that up, but I think I'm correct. And I think the noise of, not affirmation, but the noise of the Collingwood fan base basically, and people connect with it within AFL house, that would have been looked at more strongly than it was. And I think both of them should have been suspended.
John says, is there a possibility that the Freo Dockers crowd could do themselves and everyone a favour and not boo Harley Reid this weekend, and for the first time ever focus on the bigger picture, do their job and just win a game, celebrating their own players? Winning should be their focus.
I mean, you're a West Australian, perhaps I'll probably ask you back the other way. There has been, like, that sort of angst is real, isn't it? I mean, the booing and like that, in my time, it's sort of Andrew Gaff was sort of getting it off the back of his incident with Andy Brayshaw, and then we've seen it a bit with Harley Reid. Like, where do you see it from the fan side of things, Freo and West Coast?
Clearly, you're allowed to boo if you go to the footy. I don't think it's a great look if you're booing. If an incident happens in a game, then fans boo, and that's fine because something's happened and they've gotten under the skin, etc. The one I don't like, and we've seen it, I reckon, in WA a fair bit, is the champion players coming across and just get booed for being a champion player. Like, I don't get that at all. Like, so back in the day, you'd see James Hird come to WA, he'd get booed. Nathan Buckley would get booed just for being really good. Like, I could never quite get my head around that sort of thing. If something happens in the game, absolutely go for it. But just because they're beating you or a good player, I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't either. But I am also in the basket of you want to boo and you want to carry on. Like, you're paying your money. I don't think we should be putting restrictions on what fans can and can't do. I don't think they're putting a petition together to say, oh, we're all going to go to footy and boo players. It just happens. And that's what footy's about. So you got to sometimes take the bad with the good, I think, because you want vocal fans. You want people that get into it. And if that's the way they get into it, well, I'm not going to sit here and tell people what to do.
Yeah.
I think they can do as they please.
Just do what,
as long as it's respectful in terms of probably the majors that we know about. You can't touch. I think people can say what they want.
Desert Rat says, with dissent, the hot topic again, what is the more demonstrative action? Carl Warner pointing to the replay asking how he got done for a high tackle, or Nick Dacos pointing to Tracy manning the mark, looking at the umpire and demanding a 50-metre penalty? Where should the line be?
Oh,
got a theme
neither.
coming through here.
Just get them both out of there. Like, seriously, I understand the reasoning around the dissent stuff. I just don't think that footy at the highest level allows for it. I think it's too far trying to change attitudes at lower levels. I don't think we should be bringing in rules in the AFL to, because I think that dissent stuff is to try and encourage junior umpires. And I think we can do that in other ways than changing rules at the highest level of the game. And you're deciding games. There's so much money and so much riding on. And it's basically based on the feelings of the umpire. If someone feels offended enough, they can pay a free kick. That's a dangerous spot to be in. We can't have umpire 17 having his feelings hurt by pointing at the scoreboard, and then Brett Roseberry, who was umpiring this same game, who we know is a great umpire, just goes, oh, get on with it. Like, you can't have rules that allow that at the highest level. I'm very happy anywhere else. Waffle, Amos, Junior, definitely. But AFL, I think it's got to be one rule for some.
Does that not set the example for those?
No, but that's not how it works, mate. Like,
it does a bit.
Yeah, but you got to have different standards because there's more on the line. I don't think you can set the tone at AFL in this regard.
So should the players be more professional in their response to those things?
Well, is it that bad, is it? Are we all going away from every game and going, geez, the umpires have treated poorly? I don't think we are.
No, I don't think so. I'm just playing devil's advocate here with it.
Yeah, calm down. I'm telling myself to calm down, but I'm not having a go at you.
No, I know. What I would say is there is a line, I think, in terms of being disrespectful to the umpires, and that's where a player points at the umpire and gives them a verbal spray. But pointing to the big screen and going, mate, come on, that's not a big deal, right?
It's not a big deal.
That should not be a 50.
No, it's not. Yeah, I'm pretty strong on the fact that I think that's overs. I think they're trying to change attitudes at lower levels, which is great, absolutely needed. I've seen that at first hand across, PSA stuff or country footy that I played a few weeks ago around umpires and how they're treated. Fully understand it. I just don't agree with it at the top level. And you might say, well, that's where the role modelling starts. Well, maybe. But it's also where there's a lot more on the line than playing at bloody Bull Creek Lambing sevenths
or
with your mates.
Or Hill End.
Yeah, mate, I'd put that in that category. It's very high level football.
As our next question comes through, or comment says from Marty, who says, we'll love the way you talked about your Carlton draft experience. And there's a few of those that came through. I really enjoyed the way you spoke with passion about that.
Yeah, I just you don't get to experience as an AFL player what country footy's like, and I think it probably reminded me what footy's about. Just such a positive experience. I loved every bit about it, and I've come out of it probably motivated to give back a little bit more than I probably have post career. Hopefully, be able to build some initiatives into that, into helping country footy, because there's so many clubs around Australia that are from tiny towns that the footy club is life, really. Like, getting to the weekend and having a couple of beers and watching the footy, or playing footy and having a couple of beers, or no beers at all, just being around your mates. Like, that's what footy's about. And I think we forget that at AFL level when carrying on about rules or umpires or whatever it is. It's like, that's not really what footy is in the end. And so that's what it reminded me of. And, loved it.
It was brilliant. Derek says he's a very big fan of Dom Cassisi. He says, Big Dom, even as a Crows fan, loved seeing him on the podcast. Great bloke.
Yeah, it's a good acquisition, and we spoke about this. Old Sim. Now, we love Sim, but hey, you go away to Europe in the middle of the year, that's what happens. You get
Holidays
replaced.
at the wrong time.
Yeah,
good replacement.
I almost lost my job on here. I was away one week in Eliza, and
That's also true.
comments were filled the feed, like, get rid of Scully.
Colin says, don't blame AFL House about scheduling. The real blame lays with the TV broadcast partners wanting Essendon and Carlton's huge fan bases watching. Tell me I'm wrong, Paps. The champion of a play-in fixture, which is rewarding mediocrity and shorter games, again, to appease the broadcasters. Listen to the fans, says Colin.
Tell him, Paps. Tell him he's wrong.
I do think you're a little bit wrong there, Colin.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Bit. Well, it's not the TV broadcast partners fully. We need to promote, and the AFL has the ultimate say on fixturing. I think we need to promote some of the other teams in the competition and make them feel more blockbuster-ish.
Right.
So let's get the showdown on a Friday night. Lock that in every time that it's there. The Battle of the Bridge. Okay, yeah, it's on a Friday night. Make it a standalone game. Like, I just feel like we don't have to keep going back to Carlton, Essendon, Richmond, etc. when they're not in that big space as it is right now, Colin. But we'll continue to go with that, and I still do think a wildcard round would be good. Ryan says, given it appears the broader AFL media and commentariat have decided West Coast are damned if they do and damned if they don't if they sign Harley, what is your opinion of approximate fair value for a contract? X amount of dollars, X amount of years.
For Harley? What's a fair contract?
Yep.
Sorry, I tuned out. No, it's just a long
Not
question.
for the first time.
No, I just say, what's a fair contract for Harley? Is that the question?
Dollars and years.
I just think it'd be a smart move from everyone to sign him up right now to 2 years. Just get it done.
Yep.
Shut everyone up.
With the handshake that you get.
Well, you can do that, or you can do that or not if you like, because honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, that's just an irrelevant part of the deal. Sure, do the handshake. 2-year deal. Pay him a big marketing component. Try not to pay him too much money, dollars in pocket. He's a young kid. Try and set him up, from a, I want to say deliverables, but like how you work with the partners of the club and your teammates. And I was actually thinking about this today, about what footy's about and what you actually exist for. And there wouldn't be one player that plays their career that gets to the end of it and thinks, geez, I've made a lot of money. You just don't think about that. You think about the big wins. If you're lucky enough to win a premiership, you think about the premiership and your teammates and the friends you made. And then it might come down to contacts and circles of people you're in now. And then probably the family you met while you were playing and the people you helped along the way, the fans, the great coaches you had. And then you might think, oh, geez, it was good to get good opportunity from a financial point of view. So we get so caught up in making money in these big deals, and players are going to get paid. Some are getting paid more than others. But when it all comes to the end of it, and for Harley, this will be the case, when you get to the end of your career, you're not going to be thinking about that deal you did in your second year. I can almost guarantee it. You want to be around good people. You want to be happy. Your teammates matter so much more than the contract you're on. So whether he gets $1 million a year or $2 million a year, honestly, it's not going to matter for him. And I think we get carried away with who's paying what and what part of the salary cap it's fitting in and what inclusions are going to be there. But in the end, like, he's going to be the one sitting there going, am I happy at the football club? Are my teammates great teammates? And at the end of it, can I win a flag with them? If the answer is yes to all of those, he stays at West Coast. It's pretty easy. It doesn't matter what he gets paid.
Last couple. Steve-O says, love the pod, lads. Probably more aimed at Scully, this one. Are the Monday reviews brutally honest? Do players get called out by line coaches, etc., for mistakes? I know Scully's mentioned in the past how honest Darren Glass was in the reviews with him, but are the Eagles players in the gun this week?
Well, from my understanding, having not been there for 5 years, and I've heard this at other clubs, not just West Coast, it's softened significantly. And that's around the type of players and the type of people that are now in footy clubs. They're not soft, they're just different to what I grew up in. What I grew up in was there was just an expectation, and it was sometimes unspoken, that you were hard, that you were a one-touch player, that you didn't lose your feet, that the contest was, beating your man was more important than stats and contract and all the other stuff. And that's what I grew up in. So that meant Monday mornings, it was brutal. I used to wake up some mornings thinking, shit, I don't want to go to the club. Always would. But like that sick feeling when you got something, that's going to be bad, like, it might be a bad meeting or a bad conversation. You got to have a strong one. Early days, I used to be like, oh, geez. They just sit with you all weekend and be like, this Monday is just going to be brutal. Phil Walsh used to, he was brutal. Got the best out of me as a footy player. But, like, he was just, mate, like, you just roll in. He used to have I told this story Monday. He used to have this bag full of balls with numbers in it. And you have to be watching, he'd pull it out and he'd have his game coded, and he'd be like, oh, let's watch what Scully fucked up, basically. Mate, so me and Mitch Brown stole our numbers one day and never got called out. They never figured it out. We just hit them. They had these wooden balls.
Oh, good.
But it was brutal. Like, yeah.
So do they do that still? Like,
I don't think so.
Would it be more just you one-on-one with your line coach going through it rather than that public shaming, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I mean, there is a big difference, right? Like, your line coaches, that's why you form a better relationship with your line coach than probably the head coach. Like, the line coaches are the ones that go probably harder at you. And then the head coaches, they can't show 50 clips. So they've probably got 5 clips and 5 things, that good or bad, they're working on. Now, one of those things might be, team-like plays, Smothers and Chasers and Shepherds and all that sort of stuff. They might have done it really poorly, and you show 10 clips of examples of this is not what we stand for, or the opposite, it's gone really well, this is what we stand for. They probably got 5 things of those, so they don't have all day to show them as the head coach. To answer your question, I don't think they're as harsh, no, and that's West Coast and others. Sometimes it's a little bit chicken or the egg too. Like with a young group, do you go the stick a bit and go, this is not acceptable, or do you teach and educate? And I think it's more falling into teach and educate side of things. Then when you get to a good side and you got really senior players, that's probably where you can stick them a little bit more. And I mean, stick or the string, whatever it is, like
a carrot or the stick.
Yeah, carrot or stick. Yeah, right. So I think with the better sides, stick's usually the best option. It's like, these are the 3 things we did, and then we're moving on. Whereas younger team, you just need to educate and show them footage. And geez, as a young player, there's probably one thing that I did well. There's lots of things I didn't, but like I used to watch vision, like a lot of it. And once you come out of footy, you don't realise how much vision you've done and how good you are at analysing games. Because like I just watch it and it's natural to me because I've done 15 years of watching tape, so I know how it all works. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll be that brutal at West Coast to loop it all back together. I just it's just not the way it is anymore.
Greg says, last 2, who will captain West Coast in 2026?
I just don't know. I don't know what sort of captain Liam Duggan is, and I don't know what sort of captain Oscar Allen is. I have my opinions from 5 years ago, but like for me, captaincy is very much a 4-wall thing. I know people have opinions by watching and seeing media, partnerships, all that stuff, but the true captain needs to be selected by the players, and they need to be the best leader on and off the field. So if that's Liam Duggan, great. If that's Liam Baker, great. If Oscar Allen's still there, like it's a player thing. It should have nothing to do with anyone else. So what do I think? I don't know. I actually have no idea. Never played with Liam Baker. Played with Liam Duggan as a young fella, but haven't seen him develop as a leader. From what I've heard, great leader. So there you go.
Watch this space on that one. I think those decisions obviously will be made in the next couple of months heading into next year as to how things unfold. Last one comes from Sydney, who's a big fan of the podcast, says, G'day, Scully and Paps. Question for both of you. Have you ever been in a flow state? Scully for footy and Paps for commentary.
You want to go first or me?
Can you
I got it.
say to me what a flow state is to start with?
Flow state.
I know.
Look, flow state is a mental state that I think you're always trying to achieve as an elite athlete. It is a state in which mentally you feel like you don't have to think about what you're doing, and that equates to elite performance because you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just doing, and you're in the present moment. And it's like when you perform something and it's just happening. And you're like, how good? You're not even thinking about how good this is. It's just good, and it's not something that's easy to get to. And there's different ways you can do it through mindfulness and breathing techniques and trigger points and points of present time. But you're that present and that in the moment. You're thinking about nothing else other than, well, you're not thinking. You're just doing. And our 2018 grand final for me is a bit of a no-brainer. I was that locked in. All I was really thinking about was like winning the game, and I didn't think we were ever going to lose that game, and we didn't. So that's flow state for me.
Not thinking about it, you're not anxious about it, you're just doing it, and you're out there.
You're that focus. It's such real high line focus that, again, sometimes you think you're focused, but you're thinking about how focused you are. It's not that. It's just you are.
You're just doing it.
Yeah.
From a commentary point of view, I think you find it easier to get into that mindset when the game's close and it's tight at the end of the game because you don't have time to think about anything else. You're literally just focusing on the next bit of play and you're just calling it. And some days the words come out easier than others. Some days you got to fumble around a little bit more for it, and that might not translate on air, but mentally it's taking a little bit more to get it to flow.
You must come out of some games and goes, "Cheers, I was good today." Come on, you must. Not as a player, like you must. You might not be that far, but you know when you've had a good day.
Yeah, so like when you get to the final siren, you're like, "Oh yeah, we did it, we nailed it, that's good." Not so much walking out, "Oh yeah, absolutely smash that." Like, mate, you might know your head wobble going on. For me, it's the other way, and my wife will attest to this. It's more like, "Oh, had a really good call, did everything." I fucked that up.
Yep.
Or I swore. Now I've sworn on here as well.
Yes.
So I just fucked that up too.
Yes.
For me, it's you finally got me, Scully. It's more for me. I will and it's probably not a good trait to have, but I'll focus on that one thing that I should have said this or should have done that down the track rather than going, "Oh yeah, that was good enough." And whatever.
It's a brilliant trait. I think it's a trait that's shared by all elite performers, to be honest. You don't, and I'm only taking the piss by saying, a bit of head wobble. Like, no one does that. No good player I ever play with walking around going, some guys are more there than others.
Yep.
Like, so I'm talking, Elliot Yeo, probably for instance, he played his best footy when he was the guy.
Yep.
Like, I'm the man.
Strutting
Get
around.
me on Fifey.
Yep.
I'll take him on. And he's got a bit of a strut. And, those sorts of, they're brilliant. Like, that's how he is.
Yep.
And once you recognise that and he's like that, I was on the other side probably. I was always fighting to find, I was sort of always beat myself up probably. Not beat myself up, but I was critical on myself.
Yep.
But, Yowie could, do three things and be like, "Fuck, I'm the best player ever," which is great.
Yeah.
Like, they're the sorts of guys you want to play with. It's like, "Oi, you're the man. Let's go." So I just think the criticism of yourself that's elite performance.
More normal than I thought it was,
Yes.
which is good. Scully.
Start calling you Yowie soon.
No, definitely not. Scully, not Yowie. Scully. That's all the questions we've got for today.
Awesome, mate. Hopefully this one gets out. If you've lasted this long and we did it properly, you can thank Loraya, not Jaden.
Yes, exactly. And just beep out me swearing, please.
No. Let's go and just clip it up. Thanks, Loraya.
My standards are slipping.
We'll
Now
do
I'm going to
a
go
rap.
home and I'm going to think about that.
We'll do a rap. It's the Papalia rap. Fuck.
All right, that's it. This is a People's Podcast. If we're back next week, thank you.